Hello, 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 hello. Is it dark in here? Hey, welcome back to another video. My name is Casey. I'm a breathwork facilitator and content creator, and today I want to dive into what breathwork feels like. This may seem like, oh yeah, I know what that feels like, but I just want to share a little bit like deeper insight and kind of break it up today on physical sensations you might experience and explain those a little bit. I want to talk about mental sensations and feelings and things you might experience, and of course emotional, which is, I think personally, one of the bigger aspects of breathwork that you may experience. So I want to go into those three categories, share a little bit of my story, my insight, tell you a little bit about what you may be feeling. But before we do, you gotta give this video a thumbs up. Step one, and you got to turn your post notifications on. So the little bell next to the word subscribe, wherever that is on your screen, go hit it so you don't miss out on every Monday's video. I'm rambling, I know, but I got one more thing to share. I just want to thank ThredUp real quick. This is not a sponsored video, but I did just want to share that ThredUp is a sustainable online thrift store, and it is changing the game. This top is actually a sports bra that I purchased from ThredUp. I'm gonna have the details of it on the screen, but it's like a steal and it's so quality. Had the tags on it when I received it. Also got it within like 2 days of ordering it. It was just like a seamless process, and it's just obviously a more sustainable way to have cute clothes, and I'm all about that. I don't know who got rid of this, but like, you were tripping, girl. Anyway, if you're interested in ThredUp at all, they have so many clothes to choose from all your favorite brands: Urban Outfitters, American Apparel, Nike, Adidas, everything. Even like vintage designer stuff. I'm gonna link it down below. You can go check it out. Let's talk breathwork. So what does breathwork feel like? This seems like a very like general question, but I wanna start with at least talking about the physical aspects, because I feel like that's the number one thing people like at the end of a breath session with me or on their own when they have their own experiences. They're like, is this normal? Is this okay? Should I be alarmed? Let's talk about it. So when it comes to all of these, I should say, it really depends on what kind of breath work you're doing, because the sensations are very different depending on what techniques you're using. And there are so many techniques and so many ways to breathe. So that being said, I'm going to like kind of base this video off the most common things that I hear people say and that I've experienced. And I know physically, one of the first things that we tend to feel, or we can feel with breath work, is this like tingly tingles all over your body. And it might specifically be in like your fingertips or in your feet, or maybe all over your face. And so I want to invite you to think about really all of these physical, mental, and emotional as an energy. This is energy work. So really keep that in mind as we, dive into each one of them. But essentially breath work and prana, which is a vital life force energy all around you, within you, we need it to survive. Prana is an energy. And so when you do breath work, you feel the shift of energy. You are shifting your energy. So you are bound to experience some physical changes within that, right? Because you are an energy body. And so with that, the tingles, a lot of times it is like a lot of blood flow to places that really maybe were dormant for a while, or maybe spaces that were really holding a lot of tension, that are receiving a lot of that love and energy in those spaces. I know for me, I tend to get a lot of tingles like in my hands and in my face. So there's also this thing you might experience during breath work physically in your body that feels like a tightening in your mouth, like coming together, or your fingertips wanting to come together, or your toes, or any kind of like slight little clench. That is technically called tetany. Really, I like to think of it again on an energy healing process, energy being released. And I discussed this maybe in a previous video, but sometimes in breath work, some of my clients and people have shared with me that they have this like little anxious feeling. They get kind of scared of these physical sensations. On an energetic healing level, I really do believe this is like tension releasing in the body, and the body kind of like sending, tension and attention are similar words for a reason. Personal belief. I really do feel like that is like attention, bringing your awareness and attention into that space. Like for the hands, for example, we give and receive so much here, right? And if anybody's read Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, you may or may not know, or be aware of, I should say, there's a lot of emotions that are tied to a lot of the body parts in the body. Like our hands are for giving and receiving, our back represents support, the knees are for our stubbornness, our flexibility. It goes on and on and on. I've talked about this previously, I believe, but either way, I believe that it's bringing awareness to that space that maybe just like something's going on in an energetic level, because I strongly believe things happen metaphysically before they happen physically. When you do feel these like physical sensations, it's a beautiful opportunity to, and I'm not gonna say pressure yourself to do this, just listen to you before you listen to anybody else, but it's a beautiful opportunity to simply witness them, to simply detach and just observe like, okay, my feet are hot. And it's interesting as a facilitator because I could go into like what the scientific meaning of it is or whatever, and I don't even know necessarily that there's a direct one answer scientifically, but I really think that's more an internal answer for you. Feet can represent direction, so I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt, take it however you'd like to, but it's your personal story, it's your personal experience. So for me to project what that means is impossible. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I digress. Physically, a lot of sensations can arise, right? We can have body temperature changes. The big one is heating up. A lot of us heat up, especially during tumo breaths and really, really slow diaphragmatic breaths. You'll definitely sweat. It is an internal workout. You may get cold also too. Tingles and lightheadedness, really just like a warm sensation, like not necessarily like physically I'm hot or warm, but just this like full body presence. Like I felt my heartbeat in my toes before, and I felt like blood pumping in my arms before. And it's just like, oh, I'm in this body fully. Moving on to mental. So this is gonna kind of like go a little bit with physical, but a lot of times people feel this like lightheadedness could essentially be like more blood to the brain, more oxygen in the brain, the carbon dioxide delivering more oxygen than we're used to. I mean, like I said, there's a million ways to breathe, so it's really hard to generalize in this video what could be going on. But there is this like mental clarity that you feel that is like, oh my God, I don't have to think about anything. And that's what's so beautiful about breathwork to me, because there is no thought. And you might drift off into a thought, but you can't have a conscious thought and a conscious breath like fully at the same exact time. It's just not possible. Like, you can't do it. You can try all you want. You can say you have ADHD and you can multitask. It's not a full breath if you think that you're doing both at the same time. That's what I'll say. And so that being said, when you're fully in this inhale and holding at the top and fully feeling this expansion in your belly and your ribs and your lower back, and everything's just, the whole body's inhaled and expanded, and then you let it all go and contract and soften. It is like this euphoria space in the mind where like emptiness exists. One of my favorite places to feel that at is the bottom of an exhale. It's just beautiful, especially when we do kind of a steadier breath, or if some of you have maybe tried breath of fire, and then pausing at the bottom of an exhale, like just doing a steadier thing, and then exhaling, resting at the bottom of that exhale is this like internal space that is unmatched. And the way that you're able to, again, witness your thoughts really, if you do have any, and see how much your thoughts change by the way that you change your breath, because they're one and the same. The way you're breathing is the way you're thinking. When we're able to slow down and take these deep, deep breaths, really give ourselves permission to be fully in the now with that breath, it just is like an free, accessible problem solver. Like if you're overthinking something, if you're like, I just don't know what to do, first of all, get that affirmation out of here, because that's not the one we want today. And take like 3 slow belly breaths and really just listen, because I think that's a big thing for me that breathwork has done as far as my mental health, is just really like cleared away a lot of the like garbage and just blockages and just nonsense, and allowed me to listen to what is being, because spirit and universe and whatever, God, whoever you want to answer, there's always messages. They're always there. We just have to listen. And so when we can like take a deep breath, center ourselves, ground ourselves, do all that good stuff, make space to just simply receive, your problems can be solved, B. I had to like bring it back. It got a little foo-foo-y. We had to reel it back for a second. Anyway, let's get into emotions. So this is my favorite one to talk about, because I think for me, it was the most telling. I don't know why I feel like I'm about to cry right now talking about it. Literally this morning, cried doing breath work. That's not a bad or good or any, it just is a thing. That what I just said is what breathwork has brought to me. My personal relationship with my emotions is an interesting one because I think, you know, I'm still learning this. Obviously I'm a student forever, but I'm really good at being like, it's not that deep, too dramatic. I don't want to worry anybody. I'm doing too much, and kind of just like dismissing my emotions. And as a child, I dealt with a lot of my emotions in solitude, to be honest. That's just how I've always been. I've been independent with my emotions. So whether I'm angry or sad, or if I need to dance around in my room, like I've always just done it in my own space with just me. And so with breathwork, I think it allowed me to just accept me fully, regardless of who's around. I'm still learning this, obviously, but I have no shame in how I'm feeling. I think removing shame and emotions is something not enough people talk about. Maybe they do, but I just think we need to talk about it as much as we can, because crying is not weakness. If the whole world had a good cry, I feel like a lot of problems would be solved. I mean, not all of them, but a lot would feel a lot better if we just had like a good hour to just breathe and cry and release. And it's just so funny how our ego like wants us to hold on to these comfort zones, right? We're like, I don't really need to do all that. I'm good. I mean, I'm fine. You know, I'm not okay. That's what your ego tells you. And then you go do this activity and you're like, whoa, I'm not fine. Or I'm not even not fine. My mind tricked me to settle for where I was at, is a better way to put that. Yo, you can make room, you can clear out, and you can receive the abundance and love and acceptance and whatever it is. Those seem to be the top 3 things that all humans kind of like to have. Either way, we get stuck in these like, I'm good with where I'm at, and that's fine. I'm content with where I'm at too. But that doesn't mean that you have to play small. That doesn't mean that you just have to settle, that you just have to accept what is, and this is just the absolute, and this is just what life is for me. Yo, when you do breath work and you make room emotionally in the emotional body, that's a body in itself. Oh God, it just allows you to accept yourself, like I said, have patience with your own emotions, which then leads to you having patience with others in the weirdest way. This is gonna sound weird, but almost enjoy emotions. And it's funny when you hear the word emotions, you just think of like crying and like sadness or like yelling. But like to wholeheartedly just like see them all as what they are, and not necessarily like bad, good, negative, positive, or whatever. I almost like love when I'm crying, and I was never really this person, but I love it. I love being able to express myself. And again, I'm still a student, I'm still learning, but I'm at a space with my emotions that I'm like, really have no shame in it. And if anything, I like encourage it. And I'm like, this is great. You know, our body, going back to the physical, because it's hard to make this video and separate because there's really no separation in these 3 things. They're really so tied together by the breath. Breath is spirit, and these are all part of the spiritual body. Going back to the physical real quick for a second, you know, our body keeps score, whether you want to believe that or not. The more and more you do breath work, and I'm on, I think, year 4 of doing breath work, and I'm like still in this process of like learning so much about little tiny absolutes, like the tiniest microscopic things that I have just like stored away somewhere in my body. And it's just been this like, well, that's just how I am. That's just what it is. I mean, what else would it be? And then you do a breathwork session and you're like, oh wait, it doesn't have to be like that. So it could completely not be that. Like today I could decide that that's not true. You know, it really opens up the possibilities, and the infinite being that you are is like, whatever is that sound. It's just really opened me up to myself, if anything. And I think to open up to others, you have to open up to yourself. You know, like I said, like our body does just like keep these blockages and childhood traumas and just tensions in our body. We just get used to over time, or we don't even know that are there. We're just become numb to them. We've just pacified them with all these other outside external sources and distractions and whatever else. We don't even really take the time to bring that awareness to them, to listen to them, to be with these emotions that are stored away in the body. Like even Chinese traditional medicine says that the organs represent certain emotions. And I've talked about this, I think, over on my Patreon. Yes, on my Patreon, I've talked about this. Yeah, that's a whole thing to get into. I mean, there's a gajillion studies on this, but I strongly believe, like I said, metaphysically things happen before they happen physically. So, you know, like grief lives in our lungs, and that's probably the biggest one that I hear from others and with myself. You know, we're like grieving over old versions of ourselves, or grieving over losing loved ones, or grieving over environments that we miss, or feelings that we haven't felt in a while. And that's why breathwork is so powerful emotionally, because grieving is a process that there's no 101. There's no like, this is how to grieve. I feel like that's an emotion that everyone handles completely different. Having that practice with yourself, before I keep going and going and going, is really, really, really beneficial and just like monumental for development, in my opinion. You can really reach these like internal spaces of yourself that I don't think there's any other way to really access. Those parts of the subconscious, those like little microscopic bits of you that have just been stored away, and you can like release them safely, make room to attract what it is you want to experience in this lifetime. I hope this video wasn't too all over the place. I just like the biggest thing I like to say, because there's so much talk about mind control and the way we speak to ourselves, and granted, you can be really good at that without breath work. I'm not saying that people that don't do breath work can't be good at that. But if you struggle with that, to think positively about yourself and to have clarity in your thoughts, or to love on your body and feel good and safe in your body, then I would start with breath work, because it is such a free, accessible tool that is always with you right here, right now. You can tap into the breath and shift your energy, and that's just an incredible thing. Like, that's an incredible thing that no one told us ever in life, and I'm here to tell you, and I hope you see what I'm talking about. Those who know, know. But that's it for this video. I won't keep you here all day. Just take your time, you know? If you have worry or you feel there's a pressure with breath work, we're always breathing, fun fact. So just bring awareness to your breath. That's it. That's breath work. Deepen your breath a little bit right now. Breathe through your nose right now. That alone is breath work. It doesn't have to look like something, especially not to start, you know? We're always breathing. So there's no separation in life and in breath work. I've talked your ear off. I hope it gave you a little insight on what breath work feels like in the body, the mind, and the emotional body, and overall the spirit, really. And if you want to share what your experience has been like, I would love to know. Just what has it felt like for you? And there's no wrong answer. So even if you're like, yo, I did that once and it was too much. Like, whatever your experience is, this is an open, safe space to talk about it. So feel free to comment down below how you've been feeling with your breath work, or if you've never done breath work and you're curious, good news is I got freebies all up on this platform. So you can check out my breathwork playlist, pop it on, get your breath on. I also have a 7-day beginner's breathwork course available. If that's something you're into to really, really get into those deep euphoric states, that lives over there, which is in the link in the bio. Until next time, I'll talk to you next Monday. Peace.